Alrighty. All right, everybody, welcome back to The Infinite. Today, I am Austin. Thank you so much for joining us. Really glad to have you here. Today, I want to focus on the iOS 14 rumor roundup, but not necessarily all of the rumors, more so just some of the highlight rumors and features that I think would be great to see in iOS 14. It is currently May 18th, which means that WWDC is 1 month and 4 days from now. So if you're looking forward to that, like the video. And let's jump right into this. Okay, first of all is this really interesting rumor reported by 9to5Mac, which talks about a new Apple Clips feature. Now, this was a little bit confusing at first on first read because Apple actually has an app on the App Store called Clips. I don't know if you've seen it before, but yes, it's a real app. It's kind of a video creation app. So it lets you add fun animations and text onto your videos. It's actually a pretty good app and it's getting better pretty quickly. But this isn't that app. This is reported by 9to5Mac, like I said, and it talks about the feature of kind of being able to preview an app before you actually download it. So you can download like a third of the app simply by scanning a QR code, and then you have that little beta version of the app onto your phone. You can play around with it, see if it's something you're interested in. If so, then you can download the full version of the app. When the App Store first came out after the first iPhone, there used to be this really uniqueness and kind of like genuinity about apps that made them really fun to go to the App Store and download. Discoverability was great. It was always really exciting to get new apps, but that's kind of been lost over the years as there's millions of apps in the App Store, and it kind of becomes a hassle to have to download each one. You have to download the whole app and then you go into it, and a lot of apps nowadays, the user experience isn't great because they force you to create an account or subscribe to something before you really start using the app. So I think that the idea of simply scanning a QR code and jumping right into an app on your phone, start playing around with it, see if it's something you're interested in. If so, you can download that full version with just a simple tap. That is great. I think that's going to be super helpful to discoverability and back to the excitement of apps, that you can just try something out without really having to dive full in. It's like the free samples at Costco. Who doesn't love free samples? Same thing with Apple Clips. Android already has something like this, but of course Apple's going to do it and it's going to be cooler. Next up are leaks about the Find My app, which was altered last WWDC from Find My Friends to just Find My, because now they included Find My iPhone and Find My Friends together. Now, I don't know who the original reporter on this was, but there is a Twitter account named UnknownZ21. And then there was also a video by someone awesome named Josh Constein. He put it together and he included some of the sounds that are going to be in the new Find My app. Of course, the new Find My app is going to include integration for the upcoming Apple Airtags, which are kind of like tile trackers made by Apple with some added features. And so some of these sounds are going to indicate things like, are you facing the right direction to find your thing? Kind of like hotter, colder kind of thing. The other rumor is that there will be AR balloons that come up from your objects. Let's say you lost your keys like in the couch or something. You could use your iPhone to look at the couch through the camera app and you'd see a little red balloon floating up between the cushions, indicating that your keys were there under the cushions. The other thing that's really interesting are these Apple custom QR codes that are being generated. Really interesting idea. You see one of them, for example, leading to Starbucks. Apple has been in talks with Starbucks before to create a sort of AR experience in the Starbucks shop to help you order and know what's inside your coffee, find out which coffee you want to get. I'm planning to make a video in the future about Apple's whole AR experience that they're building out. So if you want to see that, make sure to let me know down below in the comments section and subscribe to the channel. But that's the Find My app. I think the main thing here is going to be Apple Airtags, kind of see what Apple does with those. I know for sure I'm going to be picking up a couple just because it's kind of a new field for Apple. It's really exciting. Okay, next up is this rumor from 9to5Mac. Lots of the ideas in here aren't really novel, but they're things that already exist on Android and they already kind of exist in iPadOS. First of all, this is using two windows at the same time. Now in Android, you can do this. The experience is admittedly pretty clunky. iOS could clean it up a bit. Personally, I don't know if I really want this feature on the iPhone. I like the simplicity of the iPhone, the simplicity of being able to concentrate on one thing at a time and kind of being forced to concentrate on one thing at a time. The feature that I might enjoy is the picture-in-picture on an iPhone, which I think would be great. Why aren't you able to have a YouTube video playing and text people at the same time and have that little video going, or a movie, or a video podcast, or something playing in the corner of your iPhone as you text someone, you kind of do other tasks? That I think would be really interesting. The idea, however, of having multiple apps open on the same screen on your iPhone seems a little clunky to me, seems a little junked up, especially for the smaller screen. I think it works great on iPad. I think that the Mac is the perfect tool to do that with. With the iPhone though, I don't know if it's the best thing to bring to the iPhone, just because I feel like when you're working on an iPhone, you're not really going there to multitask and do lots of different things at once. You're going there to really just get one task done at a time, and I think that they should keep it that way, to be completely honest with you. But the picture-in-picture video is interesting, and I think that that is definitely a feature that Apple should be bringing to iOS 14. Okay, now this rumor is less about iOS and more about iPadOS. In fact, it's completely about iPadOS. Multiple users on the iPad. This would obviously be a fantastic addition to the iPad, as most families have one iPad to share with the family. Apple has this reputation of making products really for individuals, less for like family use. For example, when the HomePod first came out, anybody could say Siri to the HomePod and ask it to read back messages, notes, important appointments, things like that. So if you had a HomePod in your house, you probably would want to disable that feature if you have a large family. Now, of course, it has voice recognition, so your kids can't come up and just say, hey, what are my messages, and have all of, dad or mom's messages read back to them. So that's good, I guess. The iPad is still one of those devices, though, that lags behind in this. If you have one iPad for your whole family, which lots of families do, our family does, you're going to want multiple users on that iPad. They added multiple user support to Apple TV recently. Of course, they have multiple user support on the Mac, although I think that that's less needful for a family. But multiple users on the Apple TV, multiple users on the iPad, that's exactly what Apple needs for the iPad. That'll be the next step for iPadOS, so iPadOS 14. So that'll likely be something that will be announced in 1 month and 4 days from now. Okay, just to kind of wrap up, a product that I'm particularly excited about for some reason is the HomePod. I really think it's a cool device. I think it's a great looking device, and the sound quality is obviously out of this world. And I've said before, if Apple can make multiple HomePods at different configurations to make it practical to have a HomePod in every single room, now it could make your house into this Apple house where everything is controlled using Siri and your voice. So HomePod has recently been listed as sold out on the Apple website. Reports have come that Apple employees used to only be able to buy 2 HomePods at a time at a 50% discount. Now they're buying 10 HomePods at a time at a 50% discount. So it sounds like Apple's trying to wipe out the inventory. At the same time, HomePods at Best Buy have gone back down to $200. So really a great deal for an amazing quality speaker that sounds it's one of the best sounding speakers on the market. It was released at $349. So to get it for $200 at Best Buy right now, I still think that's a great deal. Unless you're looking for something smaller, in which case I'd just wait for WWDC, wait for the HomePod Mini, wait for the new HomePod, wait for the HomePod Pro or HomePod Studio. If Apple can release it in those 3 configurations, I think that would be great. Hopefully price the HomePod Mini around $70. More realistically, they're gonna price the HomePod Mini around $150 and then list the HomePod for maybe $209. And then the HomePod Studio or HomePod Pro for $299 or $349. Because the thing is that the HomePod is still a great quality speaker. It's still one of the best speakers you can get on the market, especially for $200. So if you're looking for what's going to be the new HomePod or HomePod Studio, I would buy a HomePod right now. At $200, you're not going to beat that price. The new HomePod will probably have some added functionality, probably like better stereo pairing, probably a new chip inside. But if you want to save $150 off of what that new HomePod is probably going to cost, I would get one right now at $200. Still an awesome device, doesn't really have any problems, still sounds amazing. The only problem it hasn't sold well is because of that huge price tag. And also it's not practical to have in every single room. But you could start your HomePod collection now, start your Apple Home collection right now, and get a HomePod for $200. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me today. Those are all the rumors and roundups. And if you liked the video, make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel, because that's gonna help me out a ton. Trying to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so every little bit counts. Your subscription would mean the world to me. We need you. Make sure to tune back later this week for another video. Again, I'd like to talk about the world of AR that Apple's building. I'd also like to talk about the new features that the HomePods must have in order to succeed. So make sure to tune in for those and subscribe to the channel. Okay guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.